I'm Carrie Cott with The Universe Made Me Do It for the Virtual Nature Network. The Virtual Nature Network is about connecting you with the power of nature. And we're having conversations with people just like you, sharing their relationship, love, and awe of nature. Our guest for today's conversation is Rolando Balli with Ozadi. Welcome, Rolando.
Thank you, Carrie. Pleasure to be here.
So we're going to talk about camping. And I have it that you're like this master camper, Rolando.
Well, I do spend a lot of time out in the wilderness. I do a lot of primitive camping. I also do a lot of camping off of my truck because I have a tent on top of my truck that I also do as well. And I work part-time at REI, and I'm a certified outfitter, and I'm also an instructor for REI. So I wouldn't say there's always a lot to learn, and I'm always learning, but I do like to help people. I like to outfit people and help them get to their outdoor adventures in the safest and best equipped way as possible.
Yeah, so let's just dive right in. Camping. I have a question. When camping, and you even said camping is one of the simplest, easiest, cost-effective ways to
enjoy nature.
Be outside?
Yeah. I mean, really, to have a good time, you don't really need to spend a lot of money. And depending on where you live, some places have a lot of public places that you can go camping anywhere, like New Mexico and Colorado. Other places like Texas, you have a lot of state parks and a lot of, areas where you can go camp. It's just not, you're not hunting or not camping on public land, usually.
Yeah. So what are your top 3 pieces of camping gear that maybe they're inexpensive, maybe they're not, but the top 3 that no matter if it is expensive or inexpensive, it really is a big contribution to the camping experience? Like 3 things, like to invest in any 3 things for any amount of money, what would those 3 things be?
You don't have to spend a lot of money on a tent unless you're going to be carrying that tent for a long ways and backpacking with that tent in. But sleeping and enjoying sleep is important out there. So having a comfortable air pad or sleeping surface that you can do is absolutely key. I'm a foodie, so I love to cook. So for me, an essential that I always take with me is a Dutch oven. You can use charcoal, you can use any type of fire, you can use gas. I have a turkey fryer that I've converted so I can set my Dutch oven on there in case there's like a no burn ban out there. But yeah, those are my 2 top things. And then binoculars, something to see what you're out there looking at. I really like to look around for birds or wildlife or even stars. With a good pair of binoculars, you can see all of those things and really make your experience really great.
I did not expect you to say binoculars. And the sleeping thing is so important to remember, like having the comfortable sleep while you're camping.
Yeah,
like
hammocks.
If you're going to invest.
Yeah, it could be as simple as a hammock.
And that's what I was going to share is I have a tent hammock, which means that it can be in the trees or it can be on the earth. I've never actually put it on the earth, but it's got a mesh screen and it's got a rain guard, and it is so comfortable. It is so comfortable to sleep in, and it doesn't require me to carry anything else. And it's my tent and it's my sleeping quarters all in one. So that's super great.
Yep. Very important. Sleep and feet. Having your footwear, good footwear is another thing if you're going to be doing a lot of hiking. But sometimes when you're camping, you can just stay at the campground depending on where you're at.
Yeah, because there's all sorts of different types of campers and camping styles.
Yep.
So when you're camping, Rolando, do you always set up a fire?
It depends because of the conditions. I've been to Big Bend in November Big Bend National Park, where there was a burn ban. So you were not allowed to set up any type of fires. And so I had a propane cooker that I use with my Dutch oven. And then, you know, I was at the beach recently, and I think there's a couple of videos that I was at the beach on the Texas coastline, and I set up a little hole, and I put in, you know, some wood and some charcoal, and made a little way for it to breathe, and cooked some freshly caught shrimp that I bought at the local fish market, and you know, it's just as good. So it all depends on the conditions, and if you've got open conditions, it depends how you like to cook and the type of gear that you have to cook.
Yeah. So when camping, what is the first thing you do when you get to the spot that you're going to go camping? No matter what kind of camping you're doing, like what is the most important thing to do right away?
You know, that is an awesome question. And what I find myself doing is actually looking where the water wants to run. And I say that because I have camped, you know, you learn a lot of things camping, you learn from your mistakes, and that's the great thing. But I've camped in what I thought was a great spot. We got an overnight rain and the tent was flooded the next morning, right? Or as it was raining, because it was right where all the runoff was coming in. I mentioned camping at the beach, and I would look where I parked my car, and originally where I was going to park it had a better view, but I parked it a little bit higher up, and sure enough, the high tides came in and all that place would have been in water, and there was some other people that tents were in water. So if there's a chance of rain, any chance of rain, I always look, where am I going to be able to put my tent or my sleeping area in a way that I would have the least amount of impact in the middle of the night, for example, if it starts to rain, that I can easily not be inundated with water, not have my gear get wet.
Oh, I love that. So I want to know a little bit more. So let's say you work that out. What is that next step you do after that? You've worked it out where you're going to set up shop, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I start to set up I start to set up where I'm going to sleep, and whether that be on my tent that I have in the back of my truck, or I have multiple tents depending on the size of group that I'm in. But I'll set up my tent and get everything ready so I can sleep, because you know, once it gets dark and you lose a lot of light, regardless of flashlights and that kind of stuff, you kind of you fall under nature's time clock, and when you get into nature's time clock, pretty soon when the lights start to go down and the sun goes down, you really, you know, want to get into bed and not have to set up your tent there. So next thing I do is I set up where I'm going to sleep and that kind of stuff. And then afterwards I start to worry about eating and cooking and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So if you were to only bring one item camping, what item would it be? Not your favorite thing, but just if you could only bring one item to go camping with.
So like almost like a naked and afraid type thing, right? A survival type thing, or a comfort type thing?
Only like naked and afraid. You get one item. Okay. One item.
You know, I always say a knife. I always carry a knife with me, just because you can break off, you know, wood. You can shave the pieces off the wood to start a fire. I always carry a knife with me, even when I'm not camping. You know, I have one right now in my side pocket, just a little knife, because you never know when you need to cut something open, whether it be a food package or even pop open a beverage or something like that. That is always my go-to utility tool, is a small little pocket knife that goes with me everywhere in case I need to do whatever I need to do and get into a bind. Even dig a hole with my knife.
Yeah, that's
I've done
so
that before.
great.
Yeah.
The multi-dimensional purpose aspects of a knife is really valuable.
Yeah. But when I go car camping, I do take my Dutch oven. I like to cook with my Dutch oven. So my cast iron Dutch oven.
Well, that was going to lead me into the next question about what's your favorite camping item. Because you said it was your Dutch oven.
Yep, I love Dutch oven cooking. It's so easy. You can use twigs underneath it, fire. You can use charcoal below and above, and everything from pot pies to cobblers to just the basics of, you know, cooking a protein with veggies in a casserole. It's the easiest thing to do. So I love the utility of Dutch oven.
Yeah, and I had actually never been camping with a Dutch oven until I went camping with you. And like, it was so easy just to put everything into the Dutch oven. And it's not even that you have like, it's so simple. It's like the simplicity of having it all in one spot. You're not like trying to manage some different things and everything gets to go in, or you could put something, you can add something in at the right time, but it's that multi aspect. And I think that's one of the things about camping is, and keeping it light, is how to have the items that you do bring work in a multitude of ways.
Yep. It can be a cutting board. It can be a cooking service. You could put tortillas on the top of it and cook that, or toast bread or whatever on the top while you're cooking other stuff below. I love the versatility of it. And like you said, I mean, camping is really a way to connect with nature. It's usually, there's camping spaces that are not always as far as you think they are. And it's fairly inexpensive to just get out and get away for a weekend with just, a handful of basic supplies and go out camping and enjoy nature. And really, I think because you get to use all your experiences, your senses when you're out in nature, you have a better experience. You get to use your nose and your hearing. You get to use your sense of taste if you're cooking out there. And all the things that you can touch, the wood, the leaves, all those good things. And so I feel that camping allows one to have a multi-sense experience, which again, you sleep better. People say how much they sleep better when they're camping, or how food tastes better when they're camping. It's because we're using all of our senses and we're allowing our bodies to slow down and just enjoy what's there at the moment. So camping is one of the best ways to de-stress, even if it's for a night and sleeping underneath the stars. There's no better way to really just lose yourself in nature.
That's so beautiful. Yes, camping is such a rich experience. And thank you so much, Rolando, for sharing yourself with us today. And thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to find out more about Rolando and Ozadi, all the links are included in this video description, and you can join us in the Virtual Nature Network Facebook group. Join us next time for another episode of the Virtual Nature Network in discovering more of you and the power of nature.